let's see. I'm not going to start with alrighty this time, or alright. I've noticed I've started just about every single one of my videos with alrighty or alright. I don't know why. I guess that's my auto response. So, what I kind of realized was I'm really not happy just summing my shit up in 15 minutes. So, I've decided I'm going to have a cube series, and I'm going to have a philosophy series. And my philosophy series will obviously be heavily tied with science, as you shall see. And for this one, I'm not going to try and shorten it. I'm going to put as much of the stuff in there as I want, and just make it like 10 videos if need be. You might be able to watch me rant about philosophy for 5 hours. Because I can't sleep right now, and well, it's that fucking Aurora, dude. Scramble time. Fucker, it's hard to scramble. Oh yeah, music.
Now my heart is as pure as Shanika Shakur. Homegrown in the grits of gangbangers galore. Set up from many shores, still a product of war. Shell shock from the block, rock hard to the core.
I'm up. I'm awake as fuck. A really good, a really heartbreaking blog is, what was her name? I just had it up on the screen too. There was a girl who was killed in that, who was going to be a sportscaster, and she, 20 days earlier, I think it was in a mall that got shot up too, and she blogged on it. She blogged about like her feelings about how, like, she was at that mall, she decided to go outside rather than eat, I guess, and like 2 minutes later, like literally 2 minutes later, some dude opened fire in the food court, and you know, so she was super freaked out about it. And then less than a month later, she goes to see a fucking Batman movie, and some motherfucking asshole just goes apeshit for no reason. Like that's the part that annoys me about him, is that he was smart, capable, exacting. You know, he wasn't like the Columbine guys who all their plans went to shit, and so they only fucked up a little bit of stuff, or the 9/11 guys who are too goddamn stupid and just got really lucky. You know, it could have been that flight that went down in, I think it was Pennsylvania or something like that, where the passengers basically took over and said like, no, fuck you. Even if we all have to die, we're taking you motherfuckers with us before you can do some damage. That could have been every other flight. So I will start with my philosophy on a lighter note. The first thing I want to talk about, real quick, Ayn Rand. I really held to her philosophy when I was younger. You know, when I was in my teens and stuff, I really liked Ayn Rand, and then realized that under close scrutiny, not even close scrutiny, under cursory scrutiny, objectivism falls apart. And then the more you read by her followers, the more you realize it's not a school of philosophy, it's a fucking religion. It's people that think that ultimate selfishness is the only way that our society can function. You know, they have no room for empathy, no room for, which, I mean, even on a strictly logical base, strict selfishness fails. It fails automatically. Even her little society she creates in Atlas Shrugged, or, and I mean, all her books are like this. Anthem is a good one, because it's, you know, it's in reaction to communism, and says, like, this is the reason, you know, like, kind of science fiction-y, why communism doesn't work, and you go, oh yeah, that's right. But then she takes it to the logical extreme And generally, most logical extremes fall apart pretty quickly. And I mean, the only reason I got into this actually was I read a study. I don't even know if it was true or not. I just came across it somewhere. And they did like book ratings. Like they called people up on the phone and said, what is the most influential book to you in your life? I'm sure number one was people said, I have no idea, because nobody reads books. But they kind of excluded all the I have no ideas from the study. Number one they posted, obviously, was the Bible. Everyone, what's the most influential book you've ever read? And everyone says the Bible, even though most of them have not fucking read it, even once, and they live their lives by it. But number two was Atlas Shrugged. And so, as soon as I read a study like that, and it says, like, number two most influential book, Atlas Shrugged, my interest is piqued. And I can see why. It's very appealing to think that, we all operate on our own power. Like, it's almost the Nietzschean will to power. Like, we exist and get things done because we do. It's Nietzschean. It's kind of existential. Like, what's that wonderful joke that Kurt Vonnegut tells? I guess he was in Stanford in the philosophy department, and he sits down on the shitter, and he looks on the wall, and it says, to be is to do, and then Aristotle, to do is to be, Sartre, doobie doobie doobie, Frank Sinatra. I mean, for some reason that cracks me the fuck up, and so this kind of does, entail that to do is to be, to act is to exist, like without the actions, the existence would be a useless concept. I mean, they're kind of interdependent. I think that's there's a little fallacy going on right there, where you try and regard them as independent things, and it's like no, existence is necessarily dependent on action, and action is necessarily dependent on existence. They're things that can't exist by themselves, and I think that's where a lot of logically fallacious things come in with. Scramble! Solve time. The a priori thing. There's things you know before the experience, and it's like no, you automatically made up a useless term because you can't know something because knowing is necessarily connected with experience. Without some experience to do a thing with, you can't have a knowing of any sort. I mean, that's just time 101. If time flows in one direction, there's no way for your mind, soul, essence, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to, and I don't believe in any of those things, other than maybe mind, if you want to call mind an emergent, if you want to call mind an emergent property of the brain, I'll say, okay, the mind exists. If you want to call the mind like a floaty spirit thing that's up somewhere and, exists like a universal exists, no, that's garbage. There's no such thing as a mind, if that's your definition of it. So, what the fuck was I talking about? I'm tracing my steps back. What the fuck was the point I was even gonna make? And I arranged these books so that they will kind of go from point to point to point and hopefully be a little bit continuous. Aside from this one, I just wanted to bitch about it, objectivism, because I fucking hate it, and it's the stupidest philosophy. Objectivism is to philosophy as Christian Science is to
no drama, just fun getting drunk. Tall on pills, sugar walls get filled. It's all built for the dismantle, and the room gets billed for the sex channel. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere, the wind that blows air that ain't got no cares keeps the drinks full, shoes laced up. Life Vegas is what it's made of. Shopped at Caesars, maxed out visas, hard liquor shots till I caught amnesia. Rio Valleys, Mustang Sally's, the recent LL never made it back to Cali.
But that's kind of where I was going. I can see how it's appealing that, you know, you have that whole existential will to power property that, like, oh, I control my own destiny. I have free will. I have a force of locomotion within me that can make me or allow me to do things, and not just things, but great things if I want to do that. And I can do that merely by my will, which is obviously garbage too, because I mean, there's been incredibly smart, talented, driven people that have died unknown, or that have died known and then, like, you know, are relegated to, you know, the historical dustbin, basically, where
For sale where it's hot as fuck, but it's fun as hell. Victim, violent and fearful, they find their positions. Pride and ambition, the enemies inside you. Tendencies to listen, even when you're lied to. Ride through the details, unmask the myth. Trust a cold hard bottle of washed up stars and old role models. She loves the sorrow so much that she swallows. But talk till tomorrow, which walk will she follow? Everybody thinks that what they make is golden. When Lennon got shot, the thoughts of holding. What you gonna do to impress the bitch? Beautiful with no frame, a face with no name.
So I basically got through Objectivism. That was awful. I didn't even touch any of the things that actually interest me. But there's the video. I'm out, motherfuckers.